In the midst of shimmering waves lapping against the shores of the Aegean, a place emerges from the mist, a city steeped in enigma and weight, where whispers of the past still linger in the air like phantoms of a forgotten grandeur. This is Byzantium, a name that conjures the clang of armored legions and the scent of exotic spices traded beneath its majestic domes. Founded on the threshold between East and West, this extraordinary place would evolve into Constantinople, the heart of an empire that lasted over 1,000 years, yet remains an elusive figure in the pages of history. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the intricate mosaics of Hagia Sophia, the very stones of this city seem to echo with the footfalls of emperors and the prayers of monks. For the casual observer, Byzantium might appear as just another chapter in the colossal tale of human civilization. Yet dive deeper and a breathtaking paradox unfolds, a realm bursting with life and intellect, creativity and conflict, yet somehow encased in a veil of misconception, often painted merely as the twilight shadow of Rome. Why does the Byzantine Empire, with its astonishing resilience and vibrant culture, linger in the shadows of our awareness, so often overlooked? To comprehend the complexity of this empire is to navigate the tangled legacies of its origins, weaving together threads of cultural grandeur and painful decline. Picture for a moment the marketplace of Constantinople, an amalgam of sights and sounds, where traders from the east and west converged. The air is thick with the scent of fresh bread and spices, the murmur of voices blending into a symphony of commerce that reflects the tapestry of life being lived in splendid hues. Yet beneath this surface, tension simmers, a world teetering on the precarious brink of change. The striking contrast between Byzantine opulence and the fragility of its political landscape hints at an empire grappling with power's allure and vulnerability. The very seat of power, Constantine's grand vision, was from its inception a delicate interweaving of ambition and faith. The edifice of authority here was a fascinating construct, forever haunted by the spectre of revolts and intrigue that danced behind its gilded doors. Questions arise: how did a society so rich in art and thought somehow slip into the recesses of half-remembered lore? Why do modern narratives often overlook the chapters of innovation and resilience that define the Byzantine spirit? In the quiet corridors of history lies the deeper irony. Though it may have been the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium is often portrayed merely as a relic. This bifurcation of heritage clouds the brilliance that thrived long after the echoes of Rome faded. The transition from change to continuity is a symphony that needs more than notes. It requires silence, the breaths between phrases that tell us of human depth and fragility. As we explore this tangible tension, there is something beautifully human that rises from the far reaches of time. Imagine a scholar, quill poised above parchment, illuminated by the flickering light of an oil lamp, who wrestles with ideas that would shape entire civilizations. Perhaps he feels the weight of expectation anchoring him, a blend of hope for progress and fear of failure echoing through the dusty libraries filled with forgotten manuscripts. In such moments of brilliance, it becomes evident that the Byzantine Empire was not merely standing at history's edge. It was a beacon, a crucible shaping much of what would come after. However, to appreciate the depth of this empire, we must navigate through shadows of misconception, drawing forth narratives that have lingered like specters in half-light. Over centuries, the story of Byzantium has been stripped of its richness, reduced to simplistic references, as historians grapple with the perennial question: how can we make sense of such a complex legacy? For every layer stripped away, new inquiries arise. What did it mean for a culture steeped in Christianity to emerge from the philosophical cradle of Hellenism? How did these elements coexist, flourish, and even clash? This is not just a story of empires and conquests, it is fundamentally about human connection, the struggles, ideals, and aspirations of those who populated this vibrant city. With each passing generation, people across the vast territories of the Byzantine Empire wove their narratives into a shared tapestry, affording the empire an identity both diverse and singular. Yet against this backdrop, revolt and instability simmered, secrets whispered through the marble columns of palaces, a reminder that every empire exists under the looming shadow of its fragility. As we gaze towards the riverbanks where former citizens of Constantinople would once gather for a glimpse of the Golden Horn at dawn, we are reminded of the tenuousness of legacy. What is an empire but the memory of its people, the stories they tell, and the lives they lived intertwined through conflict and kinship? Was it resilience or ambition that fueled this great realm against the backdrop of looming uncertainties? The allure of the Byzantine Empire lies not just in its architectural marvels or the scholarly pursuits within its halls, but in the emotional landscape crafted by its inhabitants. The art of their time vibrated with emotional depth, the reflections of faith and aspiration preserved in its icons and illuminated manuscripts. Yet in their complexities and contradictions lies a profound human story of struggle against erosion, a fight not just for survival, but for relevance in the echoes of history's ambivalence. As we delve deeper into the mystery of the Byzantine Empire, we are beckoned to explore the forgotten narratives, the unsung heroes, and the profound experiences of a civilization that thrived in complexity and contradiction. What remains hidden beneath the surface is not merely an empire in decline, but an entire world caught in a dynamic interplay of transformation. Just as the sun sets over the ancient city, one can almost hear the whispers of its legacy carried on the winds, urging us to question what shadows linger over our understanding of the past. And thus, as we lift the veil on Byzantium's enduring enigma, we find ourselves at the cusp of revelation, the overwhelming curiosity to understand not just a civilization lost to time, but the very essence of humanity depicted in its rise, its resilience, and its ever-evolving identity. With each new chapter, we traverse not only the ruins of an empire, but the lasting imprint it left on the annals of history and the very fabric of our modern existence, leading us inexorably into the heart of Byzantium's unfolding mystery. As we embark on this journey to uncover the origins of Byzantium, our eyes must wander not only across maps, but also within the intricate realities crafted over centuries. The geographic tapestry of the Byzantine Empire, with its dynamic crossroads of cultures, was a vital crucible that ignited its ascent. At the crossroads of Europe and Asia, the Bosporus Strait acts not merely as a body of water, but as a channel of human interaction, a fluid membrane through which diverse influences converged and intertwined. Imagine the sights and sounds of bustling harbors where merchants from far-flung lands exchanged not just goods but ideas, weaving a rich fabric of intellectual and cultural growth. The very geography of Byzantium laid bare a mesmerizing paradox. It was fortified against the tides of war yet open to the currents of thought, fostering an environment ripe for innovation. In the shadow of this burgeoning metropolis, the legacy of Roman governance is palpable, albeit transformed. Diocletian's reforms, implemented in the late 3rd century, sought to restore order amidst chaos, reorganizing the empire into a more manageable administrative marvel. Fast forward to the era of Constantine, who, foreseeing the decline of Rome, made a pivotal decision to shift the imperial seat to Byzantium, renaming it Constantinople. This marked a profound recalibration of power, establishing a new center that would soon eclipse its predecessor. Constantinople would thrive as the Eastern Roman Empire, an innovative model of governance that melded Roman bureaucratic traditions with local customs. Through meticulous planning and military strategy, this new city emerged as more than just a political entity. It became a fortified stronghold, teeming with life and the weight of ambition. Here, the delicate interplay of centralized authority, extensive trade routes, and diverse populations began to shape a burgeoning identity, laying the foundation of a cultural renaissance unique to Byzantine civilization. As we unfurl the intricate narratives woven into the daily life of the Byzantines, we must recognize the profound influence of religion, an omnipresent force that permeated not merely the lives of the populace, but shaped political machinations as well. Imagining the solemn processions of early Christians who marched beneath the kaleidoscopic mosaics of their grand basilicas, we catch glimpses of a society steeped in spirituality. The gradual transition from the polytheistic traditions of the Roman era to the monotheism of Christianity created a philosophical landscape rich with tension, aspiration, and moral debate. The fusion of Hellenistic philosophy and Christian doctrine opened avenues for thought unheard of in Western practice at the time. Schools teemed with intellectuals pondering the nature of existence, justice, and the divine. Beneath the surface of this spiritual awakening, however, lay profound societal tensions, struggles that often erupted into conflict and discord. Sectarian divisions and theological disputes would challenge the cohesion of the empire. The Great Schism of 1054, symbolizing a rift not only within the church but across empires, emerges as a poignant illustration of the fracture that would come to define the era. Those caught in the currents of faith and tradition found their loyalty tested, not just to their religious beliefs, but to their very identities intertwined with the larger narrative of Byzantium. To understand Byzantium is to appreciate the richness and complexity of its economy, an intricate system fueled by trade and agriculture that fostered an interdependency across the Balkan territories, the Mediterranean coastlines, and beyond. Markets thrived not just on the exchange of goods such as silk and spices, but also on the sharing of cultural practices, art, and ideas. Imagine bustling marketplaces, where traders haggled with fervor beneath the intricate arches and expansive domes, their voices resonating like music in the warm air. Such engagements facilitated the spread of not only tangible goods but also intangible insights, pearls of knowledge from distant lands, echoing theological innovations spilling forth from corners of both East and West. Yet this seeming prosperity was shadowed by fragility. Beneath the glimmering surface of Constantinople lay stories of contention among social classes, the discrepancies between opulence and the earnest struggles of the common people. Peasants tilled the land in rural provinces whose labor fed the consuming heart of the city, yet their lives often remained overshadowed by the glittering elite living in palatial grandeur. Tight-knit communities forged their identities in the midst of rising urban centers, perpetually grappling with the challenges posed by systemic inequalities and ambitions unmet. Navigating through the streets of Constantinople would reveal, just beyond the grand churches and palaces, the narrow alleyways that whispered stories of hope, tenacity, and too often despair. Above all, it was the human experience, vivid with emotion and aspiration, that said the most about the lived reality of this empire. As each stone laid through the bustling streets of Constantinople bore witness to a society in constant flux, we sense it was not merely an empire in transition, but a living entity experiencing profound metamorphosis. The Byzantine ethos encapsulated vibrant celebrations of life, enriched by a rich tapestry of festivals and religious customs that punctuated the calendar. Families would gather beneath the light of oil lamps, sharing laughter and stories, threading their lives into the great narrative of imperial existence. Meanwhile, fiery debates in the forums revealed the pulse of intellectual life within the city, a contrast to the anonymity often experienced in the rural expanse. Every voice counted, shaping opinions, forging alliances, and at times spelling doom for their advocates, but not all that glitters survives unscathed. The ambitions of power amassed within the imperial court would often clash with the volatility inherent in any society that draws breath in such vibrant colors. Political machinations ebbed and flowed like the tides, with factions vying for control amid the grand tumult of court intrigue. The dramatic rumbles of rebellion often echoed throughout the palatial halls, and with them emerged leaders whose singular vision drove the empire into realms of both glory and fragility. The Nika riots of 532 stand as an eternal testament to this reality, a violent uprising where ordinary citizens expressed not just dissatisfaction, but their dreams of an empire fully realizing its potential. Streets once bustling with commerce became flashpoints for conflict, revealing not just the human cost of ambition, but the heart of a society yearning for transformation. Herein lies an uncomfortable truth. To understand Byzantium is to confront the interplay of ambition and chaos. For every monumental architectural wonder like Hagia Sophia, symbolizing spiritual enlightenment and artistic mastery, also appeared the shadows of competition and strife that foreshadowed instability. As we prepare ourselves to delve deeper into these themes, witnessing how the tension between power and vulnerability plays out against the sprawling narratives we have only begun to touch, we find ourselves on the cusp of an emotional journey. The Byzantine Empire stands not merely as a monument to history, but as a complex reflection of the human condition, a window into how civilizations rise and wane, triumph and falter. In pursuing this exploration, we uncover the layers of empire not as distant echoes fading into obscurity, but vibrant threads woven into our collective consciousness. The story of Byzantium becomes an integral part of not just historical analysis, but a mirror reflecting modern challenges and choices. The whispers of those who walked its streets linger on, urging us to peer further into history's murky waters, to acknowledge that within the vastness of the past lie truths waiting patiently to be revealed, truths that resonate even within the complexities of contemporary existence. As we draw closer to pivotal moments in this sprawling narrative, the stage is set and the intrigue deepens. What awaits us is a profound unraveling of destinies, as the forces shaping this empire chart a tumultuous course that will define not only the future of Byzantium, but profoundly influence the matrix of civilizations to follow. Each unfolding moment beckons us to dive deeper into those turbulent waters, where human ambition, belief, and experience collide, and where the story of an empire comes to life in all its brilliant complexity. As the sun rises over Constantinople, its golden rays spill through the intricately carved windows of towering churches and modest homes alike, illuminating the daily routine of a city woven with layers of aspiration and resilience. For the Byzantine citizen, each day begins with the sound of roosters heralding the dawn, followed by the spirited calls of vendors in busy marketplaces, their voices a tapestry of local dialects and foreign tongues mingling into a vibrant chorus. Here the air is thick with the tantalizing aromas of freshly baked bread, simmering stews, and the ever-rich scent of spices that threads its way through the heart of the city, a testament to the diverse culinary influences abundant within the empire. Within these marketplaces, families gather, exchanging not just goods, but stories that enrich their shared human experience. Imagine a young boy gripping his father's hand tightly as they navigate through the throngs of bodies, the texture of burlap sacks filled with agricultural bounty brushing against them, clashing with silks imported from the east. These fabrics might represent fortunes that can change with the morning tides, echoing the ambitions that drive men to venture across treacherous seas. Conversations flow freely, as local gossip flutters among merchants, weaving a communal fabric colored by both dreams and fears. Contrasting sharply with these bustling squares are the more somber corners of society, the winding lanes that lead to the homes of laborers and peasants, where the realities of life mirror the highs and lows of imperial life. In the faint glow of oil lamps, families come together to share not just meals, prepared from the modest harvests of their fields, but laughter and warmth, knitting their lives into a tapestry that would support the grandeur of a city bursting with history. The resilience of the common folk is palpable. They toil tirelessly within fields of wheat or tend to livestock, nurturing the lifeblood of a populace that often took their struggles for granted, the clamoring of their daily existence overshadowed by the sounds of imperial triumph and strife. Amid these contrasts, a rich social structure unfurls, dictated by proximity to power and wealth. The city's elite reside in splendid homes adorned with mosaics that sparkle with gold and lapis lazuli, chronicling not only their status, but imposing an unmistakable distance from the gritty realities of ordinary life. Enormous estates rise above the bustling streets, where lavish feasts are served beneath ornate frescoed ceilings, designed not just for sustenance, but as a spectacle of their owners' ambitions. Interestingly, it was in these opulent settings that Byzantine culture found fertile ground. Art, philosophy, and scholarly pursuits intertwined within the corridors of power, constantly evolving against the backdrop of divine and mundane pursuits. Yet this hierarchical society was far from static. The role of women, while often confined to familial spaces, weaves the fabric of Byzantine life through their indispensable contributions, managing households, maintaining social networks, and ensuring the continuation of traditions. Many women, particularly in cities, would influence the marketplaces, gathering and selling goods with a sense of agency that subtly challenged the strictures of their societal roles. As we envision them navigating cobbled streets, negotiating prices, their voices assertive against a backdrop often painted in shades of male dominance, we glimpse a society that thrived on nuanced complexities even in its apparent ordinariness. Religion, infused into every crevice of Byzantine life, compels one to consider the deeper implications of daily routines. The omnipresence of the church was not only a spiritual guide, but a significant power broker that shaped community bonds, governance, and even personal identity. In the solemn marble halls adorned with iconography, citizens engaged in the rhythms of faith, a constant backdrop that dictated the flow of life. Observe how entire families would prepare for the communal rituals of the Orthodox faith, wrapping themselves in embroidered tunics, their reverence manifesting through the delicate exchange of greetings and blessings infused with cultural essence. Seasonal festivals marked both the passage of time and the intensity of spiritual connection. From the colorful revelries of the Feast of the Assumption to the solemnity of Lent, these occasions became opportunities for communal engagement, merging the sacred with the everyday. Imagine citizens gathering in the shadow of Hagia Sophia, its magnificent dome towering overhead, resonating with chants that seem to echo through the centuries, each note a connection to something greater than themselves. In these moments of shared devotion, individual aspirations blend seamlessly with those of their neighbors, the experience knotting giants of faith and community into a singular purpose. Architecture, too, stands as a remarkable reflection of Byzantine life. The evolving skyline of Constantinople, with its grand domes and intricate columns, tells stories of technological advancement, artistry, and spirituality. Yet it is the ordinary homes, crafted from unadorned masonry and wood, that anchor us to the essence of daily existence. Courtyards filled with potted herbs provide sustenance and sentiment, echoing the rhythm of daily tasks, gardening, cooking, prayer, all intertwining in the intimate cadence of life. Each brick laid, each arch constructed invites us to step closer, revealing a hidden world of labor, love, and the indomitable spirit of those who called Byzantium home. As we peer deeper into the intricacies of this society, the emotional landscape becomes layered with unspoken tensions. Class disparities sewn into the very fabric of life present themselves as silent undercurrents, shaping relationships, ambitions, and ultimately the destiny of the empire. The occasional tremors of dissent rise from those marginalized, revealing potent frustrations bubbling beneath the gilded surface. It is in these fragile moments between hopes and realities that life takes its most poignant shape, as some sought to leverage the power of faith, while others clung to the dreams of ascendance through knowledge and commerce. Education, despite its inherent inequalities, became a realm where aspirations intertwined with the rich legacy of knowledge passed down from antiquity. Schools buzzed with the voices of eager youth absorbing lessons from legendary scholars, passionate debates igniting among peers. Philosophers of the time sought to illuminate both moral and existential quandaries, their conversations echoing in the vibrant public squares, where the lines between the learned and the laborers blurred. Toward the end of each academic endeavor lay aspirations that reached far into the future of civilization itself, their ambitions reflecting the pulse of a society on the cusp of transformation. But amid these thriving educational establishments and bustling marketplaces lay the darker shadows of conflict, revealing the duality of Byzantine life, a society born from both exuberance and tension, driven by ambition yet often at the brink of chaos. As factions arose, conflicting ideologies found footing on the dusty grounds that saw both the laughter of children and the cries of uprising. In seeking to understand Byzantium in its entirety, one must grasp the delicate balance that governed the empire's existence, an existence that emerged only through the collective experiences of its diverse inhabitants. With each prevailing moment born out of ambition, faith, and the desire for change, we find ourselves stepping into the catalyst of escalating challenges, where individual lives become distant echoes in the looming symphony of conflict. The tension between communal aspiration and personal loyalty emerges as perhaps the defining struggle amid the intricate narratives woven into each day. Here, we shall wade into this sea of ambition and crisis, unearthing the layers that both championed and fractured the empire, navigating a path that propels us forward into the throes of monumental change, anchored by the emotional depth of those who lived through the tides of fate. The narrative of Byzantium unfurls like the intricate patterns of a tapestry. It speaks not just of a civilization, but of the continuous human story that pulses beneath the surface, yearnings, fears, and the timeless quest for meaning against a backdrop of immense historical forces. As the years trickled into the early 5th century, a palpable tension rippled through the intricate fabric of Byzantine existence. Just as dawn breaks into day, internal ambitions began to intertwine with external pressures, casting long shadows across the empire's storied landscape. The edifice of Byzantium, which had once seemed resolutely steadfast, now stood perilously at the precipice. A myriad of factors intertwined, from burgeoning political ambitions to the relentless march of rival empires, reshaping the very essence of civilization that had flourished until now. The reign of Theodosius I, a key figure during this transformative era, illuminated the complexity of power within established boundaries. He was the last emperor to rule over both the eastern and western halves of the Roman Empire, an era characterized by a shifting ideological landscape, one that saw the tide of Christianity sweeping over former pagan traditions. As the edicts of Theodosius enforced Christianity as the state religion, one cannot ignore the rippling turmoil it caused within the empire's rich tapestry of cultures, igniting conflicts that evolved from religious conviction to civil strife. Can you feel the undercurrents of disbelief stirring in the hearts of those who had once worshipped alongside vibrant pantheons? The very fabric of society trembled as tradition met innovation in a dance that promised neither partnership nor peace. Though the establishment of a singular faith appeared unifying, the schisms began to deepen, a fracture that would leave scars across the empire. Rival factions formed not merely on the surface of societal belief but within the clergy itself. As discord grew, it became evident that the dissolution of authority marked an ominous turning point. From the sacred sanctuaries that should have bound the populace together came a fervor that drove wedges between neighbors, friends, and families. Compounded by waves of barbarian invasions echoing across its borders, this era heralded profound turmoil. By the mid-6th century, as Justinian ascended to the throne, the ancient highways that had once heralded prosperity grew strained under the weight of ceaseless invasions. The relentless footfalls of nomadic tribes, lured by the rich resources of Byzantium, poured through the frontiers, igniting fear throughout the empire. As we explore the reign of Justinian, we encounter a figure who rose with the whirlwind of ambition swirling around him, determined to reclaim lost glories. Beneath the sumptuous tapestries of his rule lay the undulating pressure to restore a once unified empire, yet the pursuit of territorial expansion, coupled with deploying heavy military forces, would draw not only resources but also the ire of his own subjects. Envision nightfall on the battlefield of Dara. The crackle of tension fills the air as Byzantine soldiers, armed with strategic brilliance and innovation, clashed with the formidable Sasanian forces. The echoes of battle sing an ancient lament, reverberating among the injured warriors and grieving families whose fates are bound to the fraying threads of imperial ambition. Within this dichotomy of conflict and valor, the Great Nika riots would serve as a visceral reminder of the fragile harmony between the ruling elite and the common populace. When discord erupted at the Hippodrome, an arena not merely of entertainment but of fervent political expression, the tumultuous cries of the people morphed into a deafening chorus, a desperate proclamation against taxes, governance, and social injustice. The cheers and argos of the non-elites erupted, twisting the very loyalty that had previously bound them. Amid swirling sand and half-lit torches, we glimpse the chaotic energy transforming from unified support to outright rebellion, a reminder that the Empire's strength was as fragile as the gilded surface suggested. Yet in the heart of this chaos, Justinian would not back down. The flames of ambition overtook him. Armed with a resolute determination, he harnessed the very spirit of communal despair and steered it toward a reclamation of imperial legacy. The great church of Hagia Sophia, the architectural triumph that would rise from the ashes of rebellion, stands as a monument to the enduring power of faith and ambition entwined. Its dome, soaring above the city, symbolized not merely religious devotion, but also an empire that sought to evolve through rebirth amid upheaval. Beneath the glimmering mosaics, the whispers of those gathered echoed the longing for stability, for purpose amidst the discord. As the waves of tumult ebbed and flowed, the ideological conflicts birthed through Justinian's reign proffered an ironic duality, celebrated advancements in law accompanied by social complexities that simmered beneath the surface. The infamous Codex Justinianus, enshrining a legal framework that would influence future generations, also forged new societal dynamics, a balancing act between justice and power that further complicated the essence of Byzantine life. Navigating these parameters demanded a collective trust in the unseen structures of power, the ebb and flow of appearances creating a potent backdrop against which the ambitions of many flourished or waned, depending on the whims of fate. But as aspirations soared, so too did the specter of collapse loom ever larger on the horizon. The once vibrant trade routes, the very veins of the economy that pulsed with life and hope, became strained under political machinations and external threats. The Silk Road, historically a beacon of unity and wealth, lay beset by enemy factions and shifting loyalties, stranding merchants in a web of uncertainty. The resilience of Byzantium, as a meeting place of cultures, began to fray amidst the relentless march of time, the expansionist ambitions of the Ottomans giving birth to new perceptions of identity and faith. As we navigate past this tumultuous era, the Great Schism of 1054 acts as a final irrefutable fracture, one that echoed throughout the empire and beyond, reverberating through the hearts of ordinary citizens. The once united Christian church splintered, and along with it, the social fabric began to unravel amid ideological fervor. What was once identified as the very heartbeat of societal integrity now lay painfully dissected, leaving remnants of belief and practice vulnerable to scrutiny and division. The prelude to warfare crept upon them like a thief in the night, with emotions tangled deeply in the fears of separation and inevitable confrontation. As we take these timeless stories into account, it becomes undeniably clear. The cacophony of clashing ambitions and the fervent hopes of individuals shaped the face of empires far beyond the borders of Byzantium itself. The emotional landscape of society, one fueled by desire for power, acceptance, and stability, became central to the narrative of an empire defined not merely by its leaders or conquests, but by the will and yearnings of its people who lived endlessly at the edge of transformation. Increasingly turbulent geopolitical landscapes marked the twilight of Byzantine influence, as migration patterns began shifting, straining communal affiliations. Populations sought refuge from the war-torn regions of their past, weaving their identities into the intricate societal fabric of Byzantium, infusing it with renewed energy yet creating tensions fraught with both promise and uncertainty. Arrival of new ideas, some like seeds nourishing the soil, others rooted deeply in dissension, would set the stage for irreversible change. In this haze of ambition and conflict, we witness how the empire's framework began to wobble, each ideological fallout and military confrontation leaving scars that could not be easily healed. Through victories and defeats, through passion and strife, the Byzantine Empire stood resolute, yet increasingly burdened, each battle a dance upon the precipice of collapse. As we meander through the landscape of tensions and aspirations layered within the narratives that forge our understanding of Byzantium, it becomes essential to grasp that the ultimate downfall was not merely the act of foreign forces storming Constantinople, but a slow erosion, an internal struggle between unity and division that carried a powerful inevitability. What emerged was an empire, rich and intricate yet fragile, trapped in a mesmerizing cycle of ambition forged by its people's dreams. Through each passage of time, the resonance of those individual voices and choices becomes louder, a testament to the quiet persistence of a history ever unraveling, forever beckoning us to explore the narratives unfolding in real time. As we transition into the next chapter of this epic saga, the weight of struggle and aspiration will only grow heavier, revealing the emotional tumult that accompanies the irreversible changes wrought by both human hands and the march of inexorable time. The specter of decline lurks beneath the surface, waiting, just as those experienced hearts strove for their dreams, teetering at the edge of choices, shadows flickering on the walls of time, urging us to bear witness to the unfolding drama of Byzantium's vast existence. As the sun set upon the stunning profile of Constantinople, the once vibrant heartbeat of an empire began to wane, maintaining a haunting echo of its former glory. The phases of decline were insidious, creeping into the very essence of Byzantine existence, compelling us to examine the ways time had stitched fragility into the empire's once robust frame. Just as vines could choke the roots of a majestic tree, so too did the pressures of external incursions and internal disarray began to suffocate Byzantium's dreams. The 12th century marked the emergence of not just geopolitical fractures, but a transformative cultural landscape, one layered with social aspiration as yet more tensions arose from the feudal hierarchies and connections that once held society together. As wealth increasingly concentrated in the hands of the elite, the gulf between the privileged and the marginalized widened, an emotional rift that would lay the groundwork for disillusionment in the hearts of ordinary citizens. The laughter of children in bustling marketplaces began to rise hesitantly over the hushed conversations of frustrated fathers longing for stability, reinforcing the tenuous fabric of daily life with hope as well as despair. The Crusades, a series of religious military campaigns initiated from the West, served as both the catalyst for conflict and the impetus for change, stretching not only borders but identities into uncharted lands. This period, initially a rallying call for unity against a common foe, soon splintered into opportunism and strife, as local factions endeavored to exploit the chaos for personal gain. The societal tensions of Byzantium flared as ambitions twisted and turned like waters in a turbulent river, ultimately cutting deep into the historical consciousness of the people. The arrival of Crusaders in the early 13th century heralded a painful irony. The once mighty empire, which had viewed itself as the guardian of Christianity, now witnessed soldiers of the faith marching towards its gates with mixed intentions, creating a rift that would etch an indelible scar on its soul. As the tumult of the Fourth Crusade unfolded, the tragedy of the sack of Constantinople in 1204 marks one of this civilization's most heartrending turning points. With each echo of the invading forces' footsteps through the marble halls and ornately decorated chambers, a symphony of despair rang true, a symphony that reverberated far beyond walls, touching the very spirit of a people. Faithful hearts who once found solace in the complex beauty of their surroundings now succumbed to alienation and anguish, wrestling with the consequences of loss both tangible and ephemeral. What once brought pride, splendor, and purpose crumbled, sharing equal parts of history and memory. A sacred city now lay shrouded in the silence of desolation, yet amid this devastation lay seeds of resilience. As the empire limped into the gradual emergence of recovery by flourishing again under the leadership of the Palaiologos dynasty, a glimmer of hope flickered in the hearts of the beleaguered. Faced by the relentless march of various powers, Byzantium's tenacity embodies a stubborn commitment to survival. Though deeply scarred, the spirit of the city soared unyieldingly yet again, seeking identity among ruins. The emotional atmosphere surrounding this time was marked by a duality that defined essential Byzantine identity, creative rebirth entwined with civic mourning. As artisans decorated the neighborhoods and community life sought even the simplest joys of laughter, reflections upon lost legacies filled fragmented conversations. Memories became woven into artistry, illuminated manuscripts echoing voices of the past with their vibrant illustrations as people buried the dreams of their ancestors deep within, longing for a flicker of unity to emerge from disarray. Yet as the military competition for control surged beyond mere dominance over territories, Constantinople stood like a lighthouse, signaling the emotional remnants of unknown futures. The entanglement of forces pressing from all sides, Mamluk, Seljuk, and Ottoman, intensified an atmosphere thick with anxiety and longing. The cannons of change reverberated in the streets, each conflict and negotiations tearing apart the delicate peace for which the populace yearned, threading the fragile tapestry of memory with the ink of loss and fear. By the mid-15th century, an ominous storm loomed upon the horizon, a tidal wave of change that burgeoned with the arrival of maimed II, the future sultan destined to rewrite narratives. This was not merely a clash for territory but a confrontation of identities, an impending transition that would foreshadow a new definition of the city itself. As the final siege of 1453 approached, the empire's essence became a paradox, an iron grip melding with the shimmering whisper of indefatigable hope for survival. The meticulous chants and prayers echoing through the resilient stones of Hagia Sophia reflected the desperate plea of a populous court within the throes of historical transition. However unfathomable the tension may seem, one cannot ignore that castles crumble, empires dissolve, but the human spirit remains ever burdened by memory, dispute, and the longing for stability amidst turmoil. The impending siege would not merely shatter a city, it would sculpt the collective memory, a lasting screen of resilience bearing witness to human struggle reverberating long after the echoes of the final clang of swords upon stone lay to rest. When the fateful day of May 29, 1453, dawned, the city of Constantinople faced a tragedy deeply soaked in irreplaceable grief. As the sun illuminated fallen towers and broken hearts, a profound, aching loss surged forth. The triumph of change came with the haunting realization of irrevocable transformation. Faced with the breaking of walls both physical and metaphorical, the emotional landscape of the empire shifted irrevocably as memories transformed into ghostly lessons of ambition, unfulfilled and identity lost. In the aftermath, the symphony of power ebbed into sorrow, forming a complex interplay of hope and despair, individuals left to draw faint lines from their past into an uncertain future. Thus, the legacy of Byzantium bears witness to the delicate threads that weave through history, allowing us to understand how identities evolve even amidst collapse. As the Ottomans rose, the Byzantine soul, the indomitable human spirit, transformed into a myriad of new colors, reflecting losses, aspirations, and the indefatigable will to survive despite the fragmenting structure of time. The narrative of an empire vividly plays alongside the eternal themes of struggle, ambition, and the quiet undercurrents of emotional turbulence, a silent witness to the irreplaceable consequences of both victory and loss, echoing the resounding question of identity: who are we when faced with the tides of history, and what drives us to endure, adapt, and forge ahead? As this intricate storyline continues to unfurl, we may find pathways into the complexities of human experience, contemplating the fragility of civilization, the weight of memory, and the paradox of the ever-evolving identity of societies that rise and fall. The Byzantine Empire and its nuances remain emblematic of our own understanding of change, complex and layered, forever imprinted with echoes from the past, reminding us that the world is a mosaic of experiences perpetually shifting, never static, and always urging us to explore and reconcile those threads forever interwoven. As the flicker of the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows upon the ancient stones of those grand edifices, the remnants of the Byzantine Empire lingered in a chiaroscuro of memory and silence. Traces of the vibrant civilization, once pulsating with life, lay subtly ensconced in the ruins, these skeletal remains of architecture determined to tell their stories, even as the whispers of their past grew faint with each passing year. The great city itself, while reshaped by the relentless tide of time, endured as a testament to human aspiration and fragility, encapsulating the intricate mosaic of its multifaceted legacy. In the quiet aftermath of Constantinople's fall, echoes reverberated across the centuries, imbued with lessons silenced beneath the weight of forgotten narratives. It is within these echoes that we search for fragments of understanding, a yearning to grasp the complexities of human experience that transcended the brutal finality of conquest, ultimately shaping not only a city but the very essence of its people. Even as the structures may decay, the enduring soul of a culture searches for a continuation of its spirit, woven into the tapestry of future generations who walk through its long-abandoned streets. In every corner where remnants of grand mosaics remained, we see glimpses of the lives once lived, individuals striving to find purpose amid the ebbs and flows of fortune, caught within the whirlpools of history. Beneath the domed ceilings, countless conversations arose, binding families to one another in hopes, sorrows, and dreams that rang across generations like the chimes of the bells still quietly tolling from the minarets that now reach for the skies. Time wore down the once vibrant colors of faith and ambition, transforming the hum of commerce and song into soft whispers echoing through dust-laden air. The vibrant conversations that once animated marketplaces now transformed into quiet reflections echoing in the hearts of those who dare walk among the ruins. The Byzantine legacy is one steeped in contrast, the permanence of its cultural contributions juxtaposed against the fragility that plagued its existence. The philosophical and artistic currents that coursed through Byzantine life became integral threads woven into the broader narrative of human progress, re-emerging to influence the Renaissance and beyond, breathing new life into the realms of art, politics, and spirituality. From the richness of theological discourse to the ornamental beauty of illuminated manuscripts, the echoes of Byzantine life persistently flash forth, illuminating the paths of future thinkers and creators driven by the same fervor that once animated those sun-drenched halls. With every new interpretation, the legacy of Byzantium continues to evolve, reflecting humanity's ceaseless quest for identity amidst an ever-changing world. The paradox of greatness intertwined with vulnerability offers poignant reflections on societal structures. The complexities of ambition that drove an empire into the annals of history now incite contemplative questions about our own pursuits and desires. How often do we tread the same paths of ambition as the emperors and artisans of Byzantium did, navigating a landscape rich with dreams while confronting the specters of our own fears and failures? Yet this exploration often leads us to a quiet space filled with unresolved tension. In the wake of change, we ponder what must be sacrificed in the name of progress. Will the ambition to build anew ultimately erase what once defined us? Amid this tension lies the answer that history silently embraces, a continuous cycle where memory and forgetting dance intricately, reshaping our perceptions and beckoning us to find depth within equally joyous and painful legacies. To forget entirely is a temptation unfulfilled, for echoed memories often surface in unexpected moments, reminding us that while institutions may fade, the humans behind them forge ahead, laden with remnants of their collective past. As the ages have passed, monuments have crumbled, yet the stories they once housed carry on, whispering wisdom like soft winds weaving through fractured walls. The Byzantine Empire, with its complexities and contradictions, serves as both a mirror and a window through which we observe the delicate balance of human history. It encapsulates an understanding of society as a living, breathing entity, each generation inheriting the mantle of history not as a burden but as an opportunity, as they step forth to carve their own stories through the fabric of time. Amid crumbling facades, we confront the reality that silence often speaks louder than the triumphant fanfare of empires. The ghosts of warriors and statesmen now rest amidst the dust, their victories long eclipsed by the poignant reminders of the human experience. Each stone whispers of the passions that once surged through its silenced heart, the strife, the victories, the loss, and the unyielding hope found within the quiet recesses of the soul. In the rich embrace of memory, we are called upon to honor not merely what has been lost, but also what is steadfast, the enduring pursuit of meaning in a world perched precariously between exaltation and tragedy. In contemporary life, even as the Byzantine Empire becomes a mere footnote in many historical texts, its resonance, a soft heartbeat amongst the cacophony of modernity, continues to linger on the fringes of our collective consciousness. The lessons learned, the artistic triumphs, and the cultural dialogue echo through today, beckoning us to reflect not only on what has been but on what is yet to come. In an era that often feels frayed at the edges, a remembering of our shared past serves as a guiding lantern, illuminating the pathways ahead as we grapple with the echoes of our forebears. As we stand upon the precipice of history, the empathy unveiled through the Byzantine experience urges us to venture deeper within ourselves. After all, every rise and fall speaks of the inherent aspects of humanity, our desires for power and stability, our dreams of belonging, our inevitable confrontation with impermanence. In embracing the echoes of the past, we find within them a gentle invitation for contemplation, a call to seek compassion, understanding, and enduring value in the shared reality of our existence. In closing, the legacy of the Byzantine Empire, etched delicately across the canvas of history, invites us to linger just a moment longer amidst the ruins. With each resonating silence, we may find our hearts opened anew to the complexities that define our humanity. Perhaps, just perhaps, the passage of time mirrors our own journeys, where memory and resilience intertwine in subtle symphonies, invoking the enduring press of history upon our souls. We cast one final glance back at the faded outlines of an empire, gone, yet still echoing on through the gentle embrace of those who remember, just as we too shall remember, until silence takes its rightful place.